Welcome back to Enlightened Trading. I'm your host, Conrad, and today we have another look at the crypto market. So before jumping into price today, make sure you like the video down below, and of course you subscribe to my YouTube channel. It really does help me out, and of course I appreciate it very much. So okay, having said that, so here is the price again of Bitcoin on a daily time frame. So and you can see we still have these lines drawn. I do think this trend line here on the top is pretty important, and actually we now moved above it with a retest today, approximately off this level, a small retest, and yeah, we're still holding at the highs of yesterday's candle, which of course is good and has a bullish bias towards it. What could be concerning is this corrective uptrend and maybe a breakage of something like this trend line here, which can be drawn also in a 4-hour time frame. So that is still a bit rough, and it has to be watched out for, definitely. But until then, I do think that price here moving upwards is actually pretty expected, at least from my point of view. I do think it's of course reasonable, and it is expected. So, and as well, if you look at the chart here, you can see that this trend line here on the bottom connecting these lows very nicely with the perfect retest here and once again now as well. Well, it of course signals that there is still a lot of resistance here at the level of 9,450-ish. So that is also to be watched out for. Yet we are now above this trend line here on the top, which was confirmed pretty nicely, of course. And a lot of times with 4 touches here, then a nice consolidation, and now a breakthrough with actually a bit of volume. So that is very nice here from a technical point of view, looking at these trend lines. So what is now to be expected in the near-term future? Well, of course, as I said, we are still below this trend line here, which was very important. Once we broke it, we actually consolidated below it, and we didn't drop further. So that is actually a pretty important point in my opinion, because this says that even though we broke a rather significant trend line, we did not see follow through to the downside and much action of the bears. So that still confirms a bullish bias, at least in my opinion. So this is the 4-hour time frame. Yeah, and if we come back to the daily once again, I'm going to enable my moving averages now. You can see that the 200-day and the 100-day is now very nicely ascending, coinciding of course with price action a few weeks back. So that is still very nice to see, and the other moving averages are not that important in this consolidation phase. I do think that this consolidation phase is actually pretty bullish now, since we, as I said, broke this trend line but did not see follow through. I do think that confirms a bullish bias, and of course the TD sequential is still telling you to be long. You can see we now have a green 4, not yet above a green 3, but we had a green 3 above a green 2. So this was now a bullish entry, and is yet to be waited to what happens in the near-term future. If we really move higher here on Bitcoin, then I do think the level of 10,000 will be the most important. And if you look at this chart right here, you can see the Fibonacci levels. Just extend it a little bit. You can see the Fibonacci levels here with the 0.618 right at 10K ish. So that is, as I said, a pretty important level, of course, looking at a structural point of view, but also looking at Fibonacci and other levels. So yeah, pretty important to what happens in the near-term future. I do think that a retest of 10K is pretty likely, actually, if you maintain this uptrend and do not see a breakage of the near-term future. If we really fall down, then I would, as I already said, look for about 8,600. but definitely just for another retest of the 200-day moving average. If this also breaks, then I would look for lower levels of around 7,500, but I don't see that likely currently. Okay, so this is my prediction, or at least my outlook for Bitcoin. There is a lot of upside, or maybe not a lot of upside until resistance. There is like $500 until there's major resistance. Maybe we will finally break 10K, maybe not. We will have to wait and see. Even if we break 10K, there is still 10.5K, which is a huge resistance level. Now, since we of course touched it 3 times, there is still a lot of resistance up at this level. Okay, yeah, just looking at Ethereum real quick, and you can see we can connect these highs very nicely of Ethereum with this trend line here. And what you can also see, yes, is that we now have basically topped right at resistance here on Ethereum, and we actually broke this trend line very nicely. We had a retest of it even today, and Ethereum very much likes to retest trend lines and moving average the next day after breakage. So as you can see, we are still consolidating here, moving sideways on Ethereum, which is pretty bullish in my opinion. This looks like a very strong chart, a nice retest of resistance of the trend line, and of course of the prior high as well. I don't know, I'm going to enable my TD sequential here as well, so it will now spawn. And yeah, you can see we actually had a 9 sell here. We had 2 9 sells on a 4-hour time frame, coinciding very nicely with each other. This is now a double 9. This is a bit concerning in my opinion, since this usually signals extended price moves. Yet it was not a 9 sell, really. It was an imperfected 9. You can see it is orange and not red as it usually is. Okay, this is the 4-hour time frame. 12th hour. Oh, interesting. We now have a 9 sell here on a 12th hour as well. So maybe there seems to be still a lot of resistance. Maybe we'll get the downwards move here on Ethereum. Of course, Bitcoin has to do something similar. But until then, I would wait and see. This is of course bullish that we now are at least holding above the trend line. We still have to wait and see what happens. But for now, we have a daily close above it, which is of course pretty bullish here on Ethereum. If we really break it and we see follow through, I would look out for $288 for the next resistance area, and after that most likely a bounce lower and a retest of at least $252. That would be my outlook for now here on Ethereum. So in general, you know, pretty bullish, pretty positive here. My outlooks, of course, on a crypto market. Okay, so is there anything else to say? Yeah, what I also wanted to check is the 3-day chart here on Bitcoin. And yeah, you can see, I mean, I said it, we had a 9, we had a 9 buy prior yesterday. I think the last candle closed. Yes, we had yesterday we had a new candle, and you can see it is a 3-day chart, and you can see we had a 9 buy, which moved into a green 1, and we now have a green 2 above a green 1 on a 3-day chart, which is of course pretty bullish looking at the TD sequential. And if you respect the 3-day chart, then you would look out for exactly this scenario. And you can see also we had a 9 buy, a perfect 9 buy here in the bottom on a 3-day, another 9 here in this consolidation, which of course sent prices higher, and we now have another 9. So if you trust the TD sequential, then I do think it would be a reasonable time to consider a long position here in Bitcoin. Okay, I think that's it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching and staying tuned along the video. And of course, if you like my content and if you get some important information out of it, make sure you like the video down below and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Okay, that being said, hope you're going to have a great weekend. I'm definitely going to. And see you guys and girls, your people, back next time. Bye.